Welcome to Bliss Boss Talks. I'm your host, Jaya Rose, a life coach, speaker, doTERRA team leader, and a mama of two free-spirited girls. And you are in the right place if you are ready to live your dreams without sacrificing your needs. I'm going to be talking to other soulful leaders who are walking the talk, and we are touching on all things personal development, spirituality, and what it really takes to be the boss of your bliss. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Bliss Boss Talks. I am so excited you're here because today we are talking about being bold and visible. And I feel like these are two things that are super easy to kind of avoid. It's really easy to think about, well, what is my message? What is my business? What is my purpose? How do I show up and be inside of that? But are you being bold and visible? Because all of that back end work is, awesome, necessary, love it. And if you are not being bold and visible, well, there's some room to grow there. So my intention today is to help you grow in this area. This is going to be one where it's going to be awesome to have probably a notebook. Okay. I have a notebook that I'm going to be reading my notes from. And this is going to be really a good one to dive into and potentially ask yourself some questions and get serious about your bold visibility. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is what bold means, or what it means to me and how we're going to be looking at it throughout this talk we're having here. And the idea of being bold, I think, can be intimidating to people. Maybe you are an introvert. Maybe you are shy, or you just don't feel really comfortable being on stage. And it could be kind of intimidating to say, well, what? I have to be bold. I not only need to be good at what I'm doing, soul aligned in my purpose, and now I have to be freaking bold? I mean, what the heck? And I want to relieve this for you a little bit and say, that does not mean that you have to be totally out there. It doesn't mean you have to wear bright colors or even bright lipstick. But this is what I think it means. Okay. And I want you to write this down. I tend to talk mostly to spiritual, highly sensitive, empathic, intuitive women, and we have a different take on things. And what I have found is that being able to show up consistently in my online business and be visible and yes, be bold, has really been mostly about honoring myself and my own process and doing it my own damn way. Okay. So I want that to be first and foremost for you. This is really about doing it your own way. So there are three things that are really important to focus on. And if you nail these things and you can say, check, yes, I am doing these, then you are nailing bold. Okay? And this is what they are. Authenticity. Authenticity. And that means being true to yourself. That means if you cannot stand doing live video, but you love doing audio, then being bold for you is about sharing your message on podcasts, on your own podcast, or audio recordings. And being real about that, being authentic, being true to yourself is something that everybody feels. And this has taken me a long time to really get to this point where I'm like, oh, you know what? I know my best thing is getting on video or audio, and it's not being in your email. So guess what? If you want to be a part of my world and you want to be a part of the free value that I give online, well, then you need to show up to live trainings and you need to show up to my podcast, because if you're on my email list, you might be sitting there tapping your fingers like, when's all the juice going to come? And what I've realized is that the way that I can be the most authentic to myself and then in return to my audience is being true to myself about how I enjoy showing up and sharing. So give yourself that permission to let go of what doesn't light you up, and then notice how much more authentic you feel inside of the things you do choose. Okay, so number one is authenticity. Number two is embodiment. So y'all know, of course, I'm going to talk about embodiment. My signature program's name is EMBODY, and it's obvious that that is what I'm all about, but what does it really mean? And how does it help you be more bold? So the core essence of what embodiment is making come to fruition or making real something that is not. And this is so powerful to recognize that when you're sharing your message, when you're sharing your stories and your authenticity, that you are making real something in your body, in your beliefs, in who you are and how you present to the world, so that people find it trustworthy and it sounds new coming through you. This is the embodiment, and it's really where the power comes from. A really good example would be if you follow someone for health and you notice that they have a big dip in their health, and maybe they gain weight. Not that gaining weight means you're unhealthy, but maybe for them in this case it does. Okay, and maybe their skin just isn't looking as vibrant. It's obvious they're not sleeping and they're overdoing caffeine and all these things that you would be like, well, that's not really that healthy, and it's not even what they preach. And you show up to something of theirs, maybe it's even a live event, and they're on stage and they're standing there preaching all these things that they are not practicing, AKA walking their talk. Yeah, walking their talk. They're not doing that. They are not embodied in their message. Well, what's going to happen is, one, you're not going to trust them. Two, they're not going to have the ultimate power inside their message. And it's not bold. It's not, because it's not embodied. So that is a random example, and you could place that on top of probably many places. And this is something that you just feel. This is the essence of somebody who is deeply embodied in their message. They are walking the talk. They are doing the work that they want you to do, and you will trust them more. And so this is the hugest thing, is that if you're going to be bold, it needs to be in this authentic alignment with yourself and your true message, okay? So the two things so far are authenticity and embodiment. The third thing is really the kicker. So this is like the icing on the cake. So if you do not have authenticity to who you truly are and embodiment to your work and your message, well then this is the third. Authority. And what I see being preached so often online is like, you have to be an expert. How to be an expert, right? Honestly, tell me right now, how many times have you heard this? You have to be an expert in your space. Let me show you how. Be the authority. Be the go-to expert. And it's like, you know what? Fuck all that noise. This is why there is so much. It's like a paper. It's like people are covering their whole real selves with paper and only showing their expertise, which is really just about their cognitive learning and their skill, which is not everything, is it? It's not everything. So recognizing that needs to come third, truly. But of course, it's a piece of the pie. If you don't have authority, meaning you're standing tall in what you're talking about, you know what you're talking about. You have embodied it. You've lived it. You've learned it. Whatever it is for you, the authority is definitely huge. But recognizing that without the authenticity and the embodiment, it's a bit hollow. And that's what I mean by the paper thin thing. It's just a bit hollow. And so like this could be the whole lesson today. We're talking about being bold. To me, this is what being bold in your message, in your mission, in your business, and sharing it online is. It's everything. So identify for yourself, where are you in showing up authentically? Where are you in yourself being authentic? How are you doing with this? Are you feeling like you're really listening to your cues, listening to your body, showing up? Self-love is really happening. And if not, okay, no worries, but start there. And then move to the embodiment. Make sure that you're really walking your talk, and then the authority. Hey babe, I hope you're enjoying the show, and I'll let you get right back to it. But remember your free gift, the 7 Steps to Magnetic Embodiment Guidebook. All you need to do is text the word embody to 444-999, or head on over to thejayarose.com and download it there. Either way, you're going to love it. It breaks down my 7-step system for embodying your highest self and magnetizing your dreams to you. So simply text the word embody to 444999 or head over to thejayarose.com, and I cannot wait to hear what you think about it. All right, enjoy listening. Okay, so I want to take you through a process here, and I'm going to help you hopefully get past a few of your own maybe mindset stumbles that are holding you back from being visible. Okay, so I want to know from you right now. I want you to get really serious about this. So write it down and do whatever you need to do to just be upfront with yourself. But here's the question, okay? Are you here to make a positive impact and to help raise the vibration of the planet? Are you here to make a positive impact in the world and help to raise the vibration of the planet? Claim it. And it's in this claiming that, of course, there still will be fears, but it's the identifying of the fears that come up and separating it from this declaration, from your commitment to your yes. Is it a yes? Because if it is no longer about you. It is no longer about you, and it is about your mission, and it is about showing up anyway and helping people. And while that sounds like fine and dandy, Jaya, well, great. How do I do that? This becomes a practice. It becomes embodied. So when your message is so deeply embodied, then you have the authority, right? The authority to stand up and say, raise your hand and say, I'm a leader. I am a leader in this. And I know there are people who need to be led. And so trusting that is the thing to come back to when we're in these maybe like, oh, I know I haven't done the thing I've been thinking I should do. First, filter it through. Is it necessary? Do you really need to do that thing? If yes, and you're just in resistance and you're not really doing it, reclaim this. And allow yourself to take a back seat, the self, right? The fear self, the ego self that's telling you that X, Y, and Z may happen and your worst nightmares may come true. Okay. So I want you to really create a practice. This is not a one and done. Oh, I watched Jaya's live training and now it's completely different. Transformation can happen like that. It can. And to implement it and to embody it and have it become your truth, it takes practice and awareness. So create a mantra for yourself, write it down, get quiet and ask yourself the really important questions. Like I asked you, are you here to raise the vibration of the planet and show up? Well, if yes, then why are you abandoning yourself? Why are you not showing up for that highest self who has a mission? And that's not to shame in any way, but it's to say, how do I identify the fears that are holding me back? And trust me, the fears happen at every level. So let me share a quick personal story with you. I just opened the doors for Embody, my new program. And we're in our second week now. So it was a lot of firsts happening. And it was so mind-blowing epic that I was totally focused. So for the 3 months before I opened the doors to Embody, or rather, until it got started, I was just 100% visualizing the women coming in. You guys, I literally, and I don't know if I should tell them because some of them might be listening to this, but I bought everybody a stone, their own stone with the amount of women. I picked out each stone and got into the vibration of each woman, and it all came to fruition. And so guess what I wasn't doing? Totally focused on my big vision and thinking about what the next steps are, because I didn't have the capacity, nor would it have really behooved me. It was important for me to stay focused. And so what happened next is that inevitably there was a bit of a crash because I'm holding, right? And this is what will happen, especially when you're using the laws of the universe. You're holding the vibration as to tap into the law of attraction and attract it. And you're like, oh, I'm holding. And then when it comes to fruition, boom, there's like this big empty space. And in that, for me personally, maybe you have mastered this, some fear comes up. And so what happened, the 5 days after Embody started, was I just felt really low. And I remember I sat out on the back porch with my husband and I said, let's talk about our fears. And he's just like, okay, let's do it. I pretty much life coach myself out loud with my husband, and he just sits there. It's actually amazing. And in that, I knew that I wanted to go into a cave and I wanted to hide out until I felt safe again to have new desires. And I know that the next level for me is about visibility. So it's so perfect that I'm sharing this with you right now because I'm real time going through this. I'm going to model this for you. I know that the next level for me is just about sharing my message because I have 3 months before the next round of Embody starts. And this is the focus, is share my message, be authentic, right? Be embodied, be in my authority, and show up and share the message. And in that, I didn't have a real clear vision for it. And I didn't know what it felt like. And I don't know, this is a new level. Welcome to the new level. So there are fears. So when you can identify the fears and really tap into them, like, what am I actually really afraid of? If I'm going to do that live video or the training or pitch myself to podcasts or even make a vulnerable Facebook post, or Instagram stories for that matter. All of these things are great, right? For your visibility and for sharing your message. But what is it that I'm truly afraid of? And what I realized is I just asked myself that and I sat with it. And here's the answer. It's going to happen. All the things that I desire, the big stages, the big income, the big impact. Yeah, well, it's going to happen. That's what I'm fucking scared of, that it's going to happen. So really being real about this, like, then I'm able to talk to myself and say, okay, well, that's going to happen. That's what you want to happen. But what do you need? What do you need to ease those fears? And then it became very clear again. The answer was full acceptance of self. Deeper acceptance of self. Because as you become more visible and as you become more of a leader in your space, the awareness and the understanding that it is about self-acceptance is huge. The deeper the acceptance you have for yourself, the more comfortable other people feel with you, the more they trust you. And the more, leads me to the second, is trust. What I need to go to the next level and what you need to go to your next level is more trust. It is more trust in yourself, and it is more trust in the oneness, in the divine and source energy, period. And that's what to focus on. And it's so helpful to have this process to understand what is it that's going to actually help me get through this fear. It's not just identifying the fear. Yes, it's naming it. And then it's saying, well, what do I need? What do I need? Because when you have this practice, you're able to really get out there and share your message. And what I want to talk to you about is that the message you have, so I want to ask you, do you have a message? Like, do you have a message that you know is your message and you've claimed it and you're like, that one's mine? Or are you still kind of trying to figure it out? And you're like in the searching phase? Totally fine, either one. But either way, you know you have one, right? We know that we have a message even when we're still searching for it. Just like we know that we have a purpose even when we're still searching for it. So thinking about where you are, whether if you have a really, really clear message, like, you need to be speaking that message. You need to be sharing that message and mastering your own sharing of it. And simultaneously, if you're still getting clear on it, there's still really powerful ways to share. And I want to tell you that either way, whether you're a master at your message or you're just learning really what it is it's really about the stories. It's about your stories, because as I just told you that quick story about my own fear and my own next level freak out, that's what you probably relate to the most out of all of this, right? And you could say, oh my gosh, I totally relate to that. And then my story becomes my message. So keep sharing your story, because that's what is so important. And this is where we come back to that first question of, am I really here to make a positive impact? Am I really here to help other people and show up as a leader? Because when the answer is yes, then understanding, take the pressure off yourself that it has to be perfect, that you have to be perfect, that your message has to be perfect, and just share where you are. Share your real-time live stories, because I promise you that is what people truly want from you anyway. And the third thing that I want to talk to you about is really valuing your uniqueness. Okay, so I'm going to bring it all home here and talk about the laws of the universe, and specifically the law of oneness. Law of oneness states that we are all one. So when I show up here for you and share my story, it does what? It gives you permission to show up and share your story. When I show up in authenticity and ultimately in my bold nature, which just means truly being more me, it does what? It gives you permission to be more bold. That is the law of oneness in effect. What I do affects everything and everybody on some level. What you do affects everybody on some level. It's called the ripple effect. And when you really, really embody this and understand that the law of oneness is working all the time, and you can use this to say, one, it's not even about me, because it's about when I show up, the power that I bring creates more power, period. Well, then it's way less about me or being a perfectionist in any way. And understanding that it also will really help you get past the fear of rejection or the comparing yourself to other people. So has this ever happened for you? You see other people and then they're already farther ahead, and it's a great excuse to just hang back, okay? Because that has happened for me a million times. And every time that happens, I tap back into the law of oneness that says they're doing it, which is creating a ripple effect. Do I choose to participate in the law of oneness, or do I choose to resist it? Because it's the resistance that is creating icky feelings in me, and feelings that don't ultimately align with my truth, which are that someone's better than someone else, or in some way we aren't all one. So really tapping into this and embodying it as your truth will help you so much in knowing that, of course, you are equally important. So maybe you're not important at all and nothing is important at all. Or maybe you are so important and everything is important. And anywhere in between, all of it's true, quite honestly. And what do you choose? What do you choose, and what do you leverage for yourself? Because in there lies the answer for you being bold and more visible. So let me recap. What we're talking about here is being bold, okay? So we're being more authentic, more embodied, and in our authority, in our bold nature, and showing up because we have a big mission. We're here to do something that's bigger than us, which is to raise the vibration of the planet. And in that, we must separate our fears out from our truth. And the great way to do that is to tap into the laws of the universe, to tap into the law of oneness that states we are all one and that everything you do matters. And in the same instance, it's totally not about you. And leverage that, because that's really the deep truth. So I hope this served you, and it's exactly what you needed to hear today. Let me know if it was, and make sure to tag me. I love if you pop it in your stories, take a screenshot, put it in your stories, share what you're doing, because why? Because it's the law of oneness. And this is what it's about. It's about us just showing up, That's it. How can I show up today? How can I show up today and be there for others? and watch what happens in your own life and in other people's lives who you touch. Just so amazing. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time on Bliss Boss Talks. Yay! Thanks so much for listening and being here. And if you loved this episode, please take a moment to rate it on iTunes. I feel so honored when I read your reviews, and I would love to feature you on the podcast as a spotlight review. Also, find me on Instagram at Jaya Rose, and I would be so excited to share your story into my story. I just love seeing the feedback and that you're listening. So share it out on social media. Share it with somebody who you think it could benefit, because us showing up for other people is what this is all about. It's a ripple effect of change, and we do that by sharing. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time on Bliss Boss Talks.